It's Wayne from howtofish.com.au, and I'm fishing in shocking conditions. I would have recorded the audio, but you could never hear it through the wind. I'm fishing Yarrambat Park Lake for the trout, and even though most of them would have been taken by now, I thought it was worth a shot. The lake at Yarrambat Park is a good fishing venue. It's a reasonable sized water and it carries quite a few fish. It's regularly stocked with yearling trout by Victorian Fisheries Authority. It also has some redfin, roach and carp in it. So when you go there, there's a chance of catching just about anything. The process I'm using is very simple. Got a running burley cage on here. I've got some of my blood and guts burley pellets in here. All I do is I'm making a sandwich out of this. I'm putting some of my burley in and then I push those pellets in. And then I sandwich them in with a bit more burley. They're in the center there. They'll drop out and add a little bit more attraction. And then the last thing that I do is put some of my bait dip. Today I'm using garlic. Whoops. On my, if I can get them in there, on my bait. Comes out beautiful orange golden color, plenty of smell and some attracting colors and flavors in there. And then I'm ready to cast out. I've made a number of casts into the same area as I do to build up the burley. So using my burley cage and burley, if you hit the same spot, eventually you'll attract the fish. And that's what happened here. So I hooked into something bigger. I knew it wasn't a trout. And isn't it typical? If you hook into a fish when you've got two rods, the fish will always run towards the other line. So I had to maneuver it under my other rod so that they didn't get all tangled up, and then just try to control it so I could get it close to the bank. There was a bit of power in this thing, and it's always a bit of fun managing these things. It took quite a bit of maneuvering here, so I fast forwarded through a lot of this fight because it was just back and forward. It had gone hard to my left and into the shallows, and that's what they'll do quite often. They'll go towards the bank, but especially towards the reeds and weeds, and if there's any other snags, they're going to find them as well. I'm lucky that there were a few snags in here where I was fishing, and so I got it to the bank, which gave me a chance to have a look at it. So yes, it's a carp, yes, it's a reasonable size, but the fight's not too bad. After playing this fish for quite some time, I make a rookie mistake. I thought it had pretty much had it and was ready to come in, and instead of still continuing to play it, I started pulling on the line. But as soon as I did that, it pulled free. And the trouble is I had a lightweight trace and a small hook, and that was going to happen. Silly me. About 10 minutes after that last fish, the rod tip went right round and I was into another fish. It was big. In fact, it was bigger than that first one. And it was that slow pull of a carp. I knew it wasn't a trout. It would have been sensational to get a trout of that size, but this was a carp. So I had to play it properly, and it went towards the reeds on my right at one point, and then later it went to the left and then the right. I played this for quite some time, and I do enjoy the fight, but eventually it just gets to the point where you sort of want to get them in, but I didn't really have a net. I've been playing this thing for 8 minutes, and the only reason I couldn't get it in faster is I had 4 kilo line on, but I had that lightweight trace. And while it was getting me the bites, it meant that I had to play the fish properly. I had to use the drag to make sure that I got them in. Just trying to drag them, they'd break off. Also had a pretty small hook on here. But look, all of that works to catch the fish. Luckily, in this waterway, there's not too many snags that I could see. So after a bit of maneuvering, I got him to the bank, but I didn't have a net with me because I never expected to catch big fish. I was going for trout. So I had him here, so I just had to try and lift it out. What you can't quite see here is the stomach on this thing. It was probably a female, possibly full of eggs, but the stomach, it looked like it had swallowed a football. It was quite amazing. So I had to just try and sort of comfort lift out of the water. If you're up close, you just saw the magnitude of that stomach, which is really quite unbelievable. Clearly, there is a lot of food in this water, and that's what kept these fish healthy and fat. So I would expect that there's going to be a lot more carp in there if they're big like this and can breed. Anyway, getting it out, I didn't actually weigh it or anything like that, but it was very, very heavy. And I was pleased to have got it in with the small hook and light trace that I was using. Yeah, and these things are a bit of fun. When you've got light gear like this, the fight feels like you've got a marlin. Finally, after about an hour, I landed one. I got the trout. I got the thing I came for. That was great. And it was just a matter of using burley, the right bait, bit of dip, and the fish will bite. I'd missed a few bites when I wasn't concentrating, and I'm sure that they were trout. I thought I might have actually lost my chance to get any more fish that day, but then I hooked into this one. Nice little trout, and typical of the ones that are put in here by Victorian Fisheries Authority. These are paid for by our fishing licenses and they're there for us to catch. So for the kids during the school holidays, these fish are relatively easy to catch if you're there in the first week or so. It's always worth going for, and they're a bit of excitement. Just as I was packing up, I had one more cast, as you do, and I was able to strike into another trout. I really like doing that. You know, when it's your last cast, you're not always expecting to get a fish, but it's a real bonus if you do. So this was another trout, similar to the others, all peas in a pod. They fight a little bit on light gear, which is good. They really jump out of the water and things like that, which creates a bit of excitement. So there we go, a couple of nice trout in a session. Good fun. Really enjoyed that. So for any of the products you've seen today, the techniques I'm using, go to my website, howtofish.com.au. And please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.